Hi everyone, it's me EDJ here, and we're continuing with Dova Hadi's Unbiased History of the Rome series. I'm going from beginning to end. I'm in episode 3, the Republic, and if you've been seeing my channel, or if you're new here, hi, but I like to usually start these videos kind of sharing my knowledge on the certain topic of history and then pressing play and jumping right into the video. And I thought when I was looking at this, I was like, awesome, it's 5 minutes. But I was also thinking, man, I'm gonna have so much to talk about with the Roman Republic. But as I'm here now, and as I was getting ready to make this video, I realized how little I know about the Roman Republic. Now, I don't know about off and abroad places, other countries, but here in the United States, we don't, when it comes to Roman history, this is what we mainly learn about. We learn about the fall of the Republic, kind of like the last days of Julius Caesar, and then, his death and how that sets off the time of Augustus, and then the fall of the Republic and the rise of the early empire through the first emperor, Augustus Caesar, is really mainly the only part of Roman history we learn about. That, and also the fall due to the, barbarians. Well, I don't think barbarians is the proper word, but the point is the fall of Rome. Like, the fall of Rome and the fall of the Republic and the early empire from the first emperor Augustus is really all we learn mainly about Roman history. So that's a lot to leave out, right? Like, all the other emperors thereafter, the hundreds of years of the empires and all the emperors that came and went, probably most people wouldn't be able to name much, except maybe like Nero, Caligula, but their infamy kind of lives on past them, right? In all the years of the Republic before Julius Caesar and everything he did, that's a lot to leave out, right? So I don't have we didn't learn much about it. I didn't do any research before making this series, so yeah, there's a lot, there's a lot left out. But I'm looking forward to seeing what Dova Hadi has to teach, because obviously, like I said, I don't know much, but yeah, that's really all it. I just kind of made this long, elaborate intro to tell you I don't know much, but I'm really looking forward to learning more. So, yeah, let's get to it, shall we?
Welcome back, plebs. I'm glad to say that we'll finally talk about the Respublica, more specifically of the two great heroes of the early Republic. Just in case you need proof that great man history is correct. John Green. It was 509 BC, and a map of the world looked like this. Then we have the Mediterranean, and then Italy. At the heart of Latium, we have Rome. Now the Respublica. Okay, the Republic. The center of the civilized, and now democratic, world. The further away you got from it, the shitter you got. Should be intuitive by now. I could go on and on over how the Republic worked. It's a work of art. But here's a summary. The man voted, women, kids, immigrants and slaves didn't. A man, the richer you were, the stronger your vote. The cursus honorum went from quaestors, aediles, praetors, and consuls. Censors also existed, tribunes as well, and the Pontifex Maximus had the best name. Historia Civilis covers it all. Here we will focus not on the offices, but the enemies of the Republic. They fit into two groups. In war times, they were the barbarians, ancient enemies of civilization, rape, kill, destroy, we know them well by now. In peacetime, however, they were the plebs, Rome's lazy masses, always bitching at the patricians for the pettiest of reasons. It wasn't enough that Publius and the others had freedom from the Tarquins. Barely a decade later, they were already committing mass treason, fucking off to the Sacred Mountain and refusing to enlist for Rome's defense. To appease those traitors, the patricians began to gradually grant the plebs more and more of a political voice. It would eventually destroy the Republic, but hey, what did you expect with plebs in charge? Despite these concessions, the plebs just kept bitching for more and more, neither satisfied or grateful. A patrician named Caeso had just about enough of it. As a descendant of the Albans Tullus had brought into Rome from Alba Longa, Caeso actively participated in not letting yet another city be ruined. His actions triggered the revolt in the Capitoline Hill, which killed the consul of the year, Publicola, that is Publicola's son. Such was the regard plebs held for Roman heroes. In his place, the Senate elected Caeso's father as suffect consul, Lucius Quintus Cincinnatus. I could go on forever about this man, but his story speaks for itself. As consul, Cincinnatus refused to give a single inch to the plebeian demands, ending his consulship and retiring to his small farm. The plebs, of course, refused to shut their mouths, abusing their newly acquired political powers to falsely frame Caeso with murder charges, whom exiled himself out of pure disgust. A common practice, as we'll see. And so the plebs went after his father, fining Cincinnatus for all the money he had, forcing him to live in a tiny little patch of dirt, which he did. did, with no complaints. Meanwhile, the barbarous Aequites tried to retake Tusculum from Rome, encircling the small consular armies sent to fight them. In such times of need, the Senate would temporarily elect dictators to solve the crisis. Elected as such, Cincinnatus accepted his duty.
Wait, I want to look at that again. I apologize. Dictator for only 6 months had to put this restrictions in since plebs now have political rights. Big mistake.
Elected as such, Cincinnatus accepted his duty, bore his toga, kissed his wife, went to Rome, drafted the plebs, crushed Rome's enemies, renounced the dictatorship, and went back to his farm, all in 2 weeks. Pretty based, if I might say.
Dang, that's actually really awesome. You know what I'm really liking about these few Rome videos we looked at? Like, there's a lot of Chadness in ancient Rome. Like, the Romans were on one. Like, you could really see how they rose to be such a great civilization. You know, that has left a lasting impact, especially, like, in Western culture, right? So much, like, of Rome. Also, something really interesting. No, I'll say that for another video.
But it doesn't end there. Decades later, a wannabe tyrant began bribing the plebs for supporting his claim to be king. Also a common practice, which we will definitely see more of. To stop him, the Senate elected Cincinnatus dictator, again, now 80 fucking years old. He accepted, bore his toga, kissed his wife, went to Rome, drafted the plebs, crushed Rome's enemies, renouncing the dictatorship and went back to his farm. But this time it took 3 weeks. He wasn't in his prime anymore.
Dang, man. It's okay, we all slow down. But dude, that's wild. 80 years? Holy
Roman heroes can compare to Cincinnatus in virtue, one of which happened to be born just a few decades later. With yet another pleb revolt crushed, the patricians could resume Rome's mission of spreading civilization, starting with Veii, long since a Roman enemy. To crush.
By the way, I tried playing Civilization, and I got my butt kicked really hard. Like, that game is so... It's a great game for what it's doing, but, like, I think I went too aggressive. I was trying to, like, build a militaristic civilization to try and crush everyone around me, but eventually, like, obviously time kept evolving, and, like, oh man, it became really hard because I needed to build schools and, like, find suitable income, and building the army took forever, and that took so much money, and then my enemies managed to, like, match my military strength, and it just became a total mess. Like, that game consumed so much of my time. Sorry, just he brought it up.
Once and for all, command of the Roman legions was granted to the greatest Roman general of the time, Marcus Furius Camillus. Now that's a clan name right there. Leading the war effort, Camillus defeated all of Veii's allies, laying siege to the city for years, breaching it and annihilating the population. Such is the fate reserved for Rome's rivals. It's fitting, then, that the victorious Roman soldiers received their first salary that day, Veii the Unbiased. Rome was now the undisputed leader of Latium, having subdued the entire Latin League years back, but defeating Veii posed the question of what to do with the land and loot. Camillus refused to let the plebs take the hard-won earnings, much less allow them to infest Veii. Instead, he gifted much of the treasures and lands as tribute to the gods. A wise choice, not that religious duty was something the plebs respected, once more abusing their power to lay false charges on Camillus, forcing him into exile. In their rage, the gods sought to punish the plebs. Enter the Gauls, easily one of the most vile barbarian hordes, topped only by one. Having destroyed all of Central Europe, they began to invade the Etruscan-held Italy, a bastion of civilization compared to them. Yeah. They raised their way down south, until the leader of the Senone tribe, Brennus, came in contact with Roman ambassadors. They asked him why he was destroying everything, only to accuse the Romans of doing the same. They explained that what they really did was to spread civilization, which triggered Brennus beyond belief, declaring war on them on the spot. The Senate saw this as a chance to finally teach the plebs to fight on their own. The pleb legions met with the Gauls in battle, and broke in seconds, fleeing to Veii, figures. With no army on the field, the patricians could only sigh as Gaul invaded the city, killing, raping, and burning everything on sight. Sounds familiar? It's hard to say who I blame most for this. Thankfully, the core of the city held firm, being manned by the patrician soldiers who stayed behind. Still in exile, Camillus was furious when he learned of the invasion, accepting the election as dictator and raising a new army. Meanwhile, unable to fully take the city, Brennus met with the senators, demanding them to pay him to leave, so that he could have an excuse to claim victory. But when a senator pointed out that the gold balance was rigged, Brennus laughed, saying, "Why wig this?" meaning gives me that. It was then that Camillus arrived, his mere presence making the Gauls shit themselves. Once explained the situation, Camillus laughed, pulling out his massive dick, breaking the scale, and telling the barbarians to fuck off back to their mud huts. Brennus couldn't hold his...
I wonder if that's obviously it's not, but that would have been awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna take this so overly serious that I choose to believe that's actually what happened. If they ever make a historical movie about this, I want that scene in.
His greed anymore, trying to take the gold and run away, only to hear behind him. No one knows exactly what happened to the Gauls that day, only that they were all gone. It was a victory, but a costly one. The plebs wished to migrate to Veii, but Camillus shunned their laziness. The gods had appointed them with a divine mission, and in Rome was where it was to be undertaken. Personally leading the reconstruction effort, Camillus ensured Rome would not share in Troy's fate, becoming its second founder, and a hero forever. Alright, who's keeping tabs? I think Camillus has the new record. Stick around to see how long it lasts. But of course, the he starts in the audience already know how long it lasts. The next chapter will be all about the Latin and Samnite wars, together with the BTFOing of a certain Greek king. I might change topics, no idea really, so let me know what you think and want. Farewell.
Alright, awesome. So, we didn't learn much about the conquest of Italy, the expansion. The Punic Wars, obviously, we'll have a lot to talk about because I watch Oversimplified's video. But, yeah, that was really cool to learn. We didn't learn much about the inner workings of the Republic, how things happen, but obviously Republic, like, we know about that. He just went. I'm grateful he actually talked about, like, other things that I did not know about, like these awesome Romans. And I think this is what I'm really liking most about Dova Hadi's videos, learning about these awesome historical figures and just how much chadness radiated from ancient Rome. Like, he's turning me into even more of a Roman fanboy. But yeah, that was really cool. You know, I will say it's interesting just how much Gaul plays into a part of, like, Roman history. Like, everything I'm learning about Rome throughout these, like, historical videos, Gaul always seems to be a big, like, issue. And just the barbarians, man. The barbarians will always be, like, Rome's #1 enemy, right? Like, they've been fighting them since the beginning, and, like, arguably destroyed, like, half of the empire, like the Western, right? The Eastern went on to be, like, the Byzantines, and they fell to, like, Mehmed the Conqueror. I don't even know if I'm saying these names right, please forgive me. But yeah, overall, this is just really fun to learn about. I'm grateful this video was short because I haven't eaten all day, and I have, like, 2 pizzas right here that I was waiting to eat after this video. So, yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this video, thanks. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.